Welcome to the Mid-South Baseball Report. Join in and listen to some of the best baseball chatter around the Memphis area. Your host, Johnny Ray, talks with the likes of Ed Easley, Jeff Duncan, Andy Cook, as well as other local icons such as Phil Clark, Jeff Hopkins, and 2023 Major League All-Star Brent Rooker. Today's guest, University of Memphis head coach, Matt Reiser.
Honored today to be joined by new head coach at the University of Memphis, Matt Reiser. Coach, welcome to Memphis. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having us, man. You know, obviously it's been a whirlwind, and I appreciate you finding some time to have us in and come be able to do this and talk about Memphis and where we're going to be headed, man.
Yeah, 6-7 weeks you've been on the job. Have you gotten moved? Is everything situated? Everything unpacked?
We're trying to get there slowly but surely. You know, finally got the wife and kids up here. I go back to, it's now, we're in August, but, I guess that was June 18th, right? We had the first team meeting and getting on a Zoom call with all the guys. I had a conversation with our recruiting coordinator, Coach Pemberton, right? And said, hey, man, you coming with me? Let's go to dinner after. And we talked through some things and said, okay, when we start? I said, tomorrow morning. We get in the car and go drive to Memphis. So, we've been up here 6 weeks, 7 weeks. It has been the craziest time, the most busiest time of my life. And obviously having the kids, probably been the longest I've gone without seeing the kids at some points, 2 or 3 weeks. But at the end of the day, man, it's all been well worth it. And now to get them up here, get them settled. We finally got in the house last week. We started school this week. We got some normalcy going around the house so we can continue to do what we need to do here to build.
Yeah, you got the makings of a pretty good baseball team already. You got 3 boys. Tell us about your family a little bit.
Yeah, everybody said, hey, man, you work on a baseball team, one more, you get the whole infield. I said, well, look, I don't know if they're going to play ball or not, but I definitely got a drummer, a singer, right, guitar guy. It is. Mama's a saint. She's been obviously able to deal with all this going back and forth, and she's gotten the house packed up and gotten the kids taken care of, get them to school, that kind of good stuff. So we can concentrate on the baseball aspect of things. But we work on that team. But we've done 3 boys is plenty enough for us, and the fan base, and obviously our guys get to know their kids real well.
Well, I had a son that grew up around the ball team, and they learned a lot of lessons being around the ball team. Most of them good, but I've never regretted the opportunity my son had to grow up riding the bus, being on the ball field at practice, and it was just memories that I'll never be able to forget.
Well, absolutely. Well, and that's the whole thing with this. I think every coach has a point in time in their career they kind of think about the other side. What's a 9 to 5 look like? Hey, what's all this madness with name, image, likeness? Is it time to get out and go do something else, make twice the amount of money? But there's something priceless about being able to raise kids in that atmosphere, in that dugout, being in a college atmosphere. Obviously from a campus standpoint, our kids are my 7, my 5-year-old Xander and Jason, both there on campus at the university school to go to kindergarten, 2nd grade. Our Bullet, the last one, we nicknamed him Bullet. He'll be there as well. So just that interaction and what they get from a growth standpoint, you can ask for a better environment, to raise the kids in.
Yeah, no doubt. So, want to talk about the young Matt Reiser.
Yeah.
You grew up in Picayune, Mississippi, and played at Pearl River Community College, and then finished up at Tulane. Talk about a little bit about your playing career, what you excelled at, and what drove you to be a coach.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is, so my mom's actually Canadian, right, from Toronto area, just about 3 hours north there, a place called Sudbury, and she always talked about going far off. You can go to Notre Dame. She's a big Catholic. You can go to Notre Dame and go far off, go to school, and lo and behold, the good Lord had different plans for me, right? I go to Pearl River, 30 minutes up the road there, have a great career. We had the good fortune of winning a state championship, first one we'd won in a long time there in Pearl River. If you know the Mac Jack, right, how they handle their stuff, they'd rather win a state championship than a national championship. So, obviously good fortune to have success there. Also went on to Tulane. Played for legendary Hall of Fame coach Rick Jones. Obviously I owe a lot of my career to him as well. Just all the lessons that we learned, but the second chance I got when I was there, the opportunities we had, and so we also played in the World Series in 2005 as well. So a lot of those experiences, you kind of go through and you have all this appreciation for your coaches. The Kent Kirkland's of the world that coached me in high school, obviously the JRTs at Pearl River, and then obviously Coach Jones there at Tulane. But even the ball coaches growing up, right, all the little league coaches you had, the John Hughes of the world and the Charlie Hickmans of the world, all those guys. The only way we could show appreciation, in my mind, was do the same thing, right, for the next generation. And so I got finished up with my degree in biomedical engineering. Had a summer to figure out, hey, which route are we going to go? Are we going to go and get a master's or go to med school with this BME degree, or you're going to go coach baseball. So I looked at the biomedical engineers. They all looked at me like I was an idiot. I looked at the baseball guys and said a few words here or there, and all those kids looked at me like I was a hero and like I knew everything. I said, I'm going to go this route. Let's go coach and have a good time. So I got good fortune to coach for the Jackson 96ers. That first summer of Derek playing, that's it. The whole topic. Yep. I got a phone call about a weekend, and they had lost their coach and said, "Hey man, we got nobody to coach team. Would you take your team?" And Alex, my younger brother, played for the 96ers. His best friend Derek Torres said, "Yeah, sure, it'd be a lot of fun. Why not?" So dove in head first and actually coached my very first game at the University of Memphis in a tournament up here at Memphis on the field. So
that was probably during the Keith Hagan All-American Classic.
That was probably it. I would guess the exact same thing around that 4th of July time. Yeah, that's that. The same class has been on forever and ever. So, it was just funny how the good Lord works, man. That was the first place I was at. And he always pointed a few different directions. That, hey, man, one day this is going to be home for you.
So you knew your way up I-55 a little bit before.
I did, yeah. Also, we played here when I was at Tulane, and that was my senior year. There was a rather eventful speech I had as a player on Friday night after Adam Amar. I think he hit 3 home runs off of us on Friday night, and I told the team, obviously, this is unacceptable. Memphis never beats us. We're Tulane. We're coming off the World Series. I just remember walking away from that talk on that Friday night. Boy, I better back this up. I just talked a lot. I better walk it too. So good fortune. I had walked it Saturday and Sunday, and we finished off the weekend with a series win. So, but just a lot of good memories, obviously, early in my playing career and right off the bat with my coaching career about Memphis. And again, just the good Lord pointing that, hey man, one day this might be home for you.
Yeah. So before we get to your previous stop at Southeastern Louisiana. Where did you spend time as an assistant or a GA? Or how did that grind work for you?
Yeah, being a JC guy and doing the route that I did to go on that engineering degree took me an extra year to finish up school. Katrina hit my senior year of playing ball, so we went out to Texas Tech for a semester. I did minor in business, right, because we didn't have the engineering classes I needed for my degree plan, being that deep into it. So I took a 5th year to finish up. Coach Jones offered me the opportunity to stay on and be a student assistant for baseball. I think I had to separate at that point in time. Just, it was going to be tough walking away from the game. So I stepped aside, didn't accept that opportunity, but did want to be around the guys. And so I actually took a strength and conditioning job as a student assistant there in the weight room. So I got to work with multiple sports, right? I got to work with baseball, obviously, but, volleyball, helped out with football and a few other those sports that we had there at Tulane. So I did that for my 5th year aide and kind of stayed on. And then, again, here I am. Maybe I go get my master's in my degree plan, go to med school. Got a chance to coach Picayune High School summers team. Had a good buddy of mine that played at Nichols, Cody Steigner, who's now the head football coach at Picayune High School, coming off a couple state championships down there. We had the summer to go fish and go coach the boys. And so we did that, enjoyed that part of it. Got to experience that, and then I also got the good fortune to go to Southeastern. So my route is probably different than most. Most people kind of bounce around with the GAs and the volunteers and just trying to find the next one. Every time the good Lord presented an opportunity for me to move on, there's a better opportunity there at Southeastern to continue to present itself. So I remember being in Hammond my first year in 2008 season, wanting to go be the volunteer, Mississippi State. John Cohen is getting the job, all that kind of good stuff. And hey man, all of a sudden I can be the full-time assistant at Southeastern. Never mind, I'm stay put. As I'm about to go out the door, be somewhere else, make a little bit more money, right? Hey man, be the top assistant at Southeastern. All of a sudden I'm about to take another job somewhere else. Here it is, another good opportunity, and I become the head coach here in 2014 at Southeastern. So I don't think many people have done it. Worked from volunteer, second assistant, top assistant, all the way to head coach at the same university, and been somewhere like I was there at Southeastern, Hammond, America for the last 16 years. But also a lot of special time that we spent and get to know the ins and outs of it.
Well, obviously fast-tracked, but something I was very impressed with looking over your bio. At 29 years old, you're a head coach of the D1 program.
Yeah.
That's pretty special, and that shows the maturity and just the passion that you had for the game to be able to step in. And at 29 years old, you're not that far separated probably from some of your 5th-year seniors.
You're correct. Even that first year as a volunteer, I think I had 3 guys on the team actually older than I was.
Wow.
And if it had been COVID, I might have had 10 players older than me. Nowadays, but. 29 years old, youngest head coach in Division I, and it's been 6 years at Southeastern. Knew the ins and outs. Had been a big part of believing what Coach had built there. Coach Ortiz had built there. Played for him in junior college, so a lot of the same ideology. When he took over as athletic director, he trusted me with that process. And hey, man, take this thing to another level, and we did. We had the good fortune of having a lot of good players in there and come in and do our deal. A lot of good assistant coaches come through the ranks with us there as well, and had a lot of success early. And like I told folks, hey man, there's a lot of naysayers at 29 years old. You can't do this. You're too young. How are you going to handle certain situations? At the end of the day, when your first head coaching job, whether you're 29 or 49, it's your first head coaching job.
Right.
There's still a lot you're going to learn about yourself, regardless how old you are. And so I had the good fortune, obviously, being in a place that I spent 6 years in, I was very familiar with. That I think it made a nice, smooth transition. That I put my own twist on it, but the foundation of what we had built, I've been there the last 6 years.
Right. Well, you had success.
Yeah.
4 NCAA regionals, some Southland Conference championships, and you just kept that level of consistency throughout the program. And talk about some of those years and how they were special to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it just goes back to the guys, right? I mean, the players. I remember the first one in 14. That was a crew that we had. We'd knocked on the door twice already in the championship game in the tournament, and just couldn't get it done. Had all the year before in 13, everything pointing our direction. Hey, we're facing a true freshman. We should be in the winners bracket game, the whole 9 yards. It just didn't go our way. So to see that first one finally break through in 14 and make our first regional in 20-something years, get our first regional win in 22 years. Obviously, that was a special group, man. Just a veteran group that I was so glad to see them finally reach that pedestal. And then obviously take it to another level, right? To elevate it, to be able to win a regular season title in 15, to a couple of large bids as well that had not happened ever in the history of the program. We had 2 at-large bids there.
And that's normally those bids. A lot of times they don't go to the South.
They don't.
If you don't have the automatic.
That's it. And we got that RPI, right? The 3 magic letters, RPI. I think that's what they're going to put on my tombstone instead of RIP, right? We had 27 RPI one year, and that was the highest we'd had in the history of the Southland Conference. So, a lot of things, a lot of great accomplishments there. But in all honesty, probably our most rewarding one was that 22 season 2 years ago. We had to face a lot of adversity. I'd never seen so many different things a team, a club, and players, and as a staff, just a whole team had to go through. We had multiple situations that happened. We had a death of a dear friend of ours, a former player, a former coach of ours. We had the hurricane stuff we had to go through. We had multiple injuries that year. I'd never seen a team been so beat up, and that group kept battling. And so, obviously we get through. We finish second. We get to host the side of the conference tournament. We end up winning the tournament title there, going to another regional again. And so, I made sure the rings we got exemplified all the stuff that we had stacked against us. I stacked that ring about as high as you could stack it. So when people look at it, might thought it was a World Series championship ring, and said, no, man, it's a conference championship ring, a regional ring. And like, man, well, tell me the story of what we had to go through to get to where we were that year. Just one of the most priceless stories you'll ever hear, and something you couldn't make a movie script about, in all honesty. So that's probably the ones I'm most proud of, in all honesty, to be able to go through what we did 2 years ago and have that type of accomplishment.
Yeah, that's fun and things you'll always remember. So now it's 2023.
Yeah.
June 1st, and University of Memphis job's open. Obviously I've known of you, but just met you 25 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Very impressed with just sitting down. I can see how you could sit in front of a group and win your battle of the resume.
Yeah.
But what do you think sets you apart for this job to become the head coach in University of Memphis?
Meant to be here, and I tell people, I've told the guys this summer that we've been recruiting, right? Look, there's no perfect university. That's just reality of it, right? There's guys that have a lot of strengths and guys with some weaknesses. Some with more strengths and more weaknesses, but there's no perfect university regardless of how many strengths you got. There's no perfect coach. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not making all the right decisions, and I'm not going to push all the right buttons and do all that kind of stuff. There's no perfect player, in all honesty, but there are perfect fits. Who you are, what you are, how you go about your business, how you handle adversity, what your true heart and what your true meaning is behind why you do what you do, and honestly felt like that was the University of Memphis for me and my family. The more that we got deeper into this, I told people, I said I kind of had a toe in it to begin with, right, and then I had a foot, and I had a knee, and whole leg. Next thing you know, I'm doing a cannonball into the pool, right, to finish this thing off. But the more I continued to learn about Memphis and look at this and see where they're at, I think it's in the infancy stages of being a beast, in all honesty. I think there's a lot of core things here that we have that we can have a chance to have a lot of success. The administration made an investment, right? That stadium over there, I don't know if anybody's seen FedEx Park in the last 12 to 18 months, but it's absolutely gorgeous, man. They just spent $3.5 million over there, so it's got the wheels turning in the right direction. Where the program hasn't gotten obviously to the success of that early '90s, right? That '94 team, we'll honor them this year. It's been 30 years, right, where they were one game away from Omaha, but we have obviously the inner workings to be able to do that. We have plenty of talent in this area with the type of young men that we want to do it with. We want to do it with blue-collar young men, people who don't take things for granted, who don't say, hey, I'm owed this, I'm going to earn everything I get. That blue-collar mentality, that blue-collar makeup with that talent, that ability, with an administration that's willing to invest and have expectation to win it. And honestly, that was kind of the last conversation that Laird and I had in the final part of the interview. I asked him a question. Hey, man, you going to be here? He's like, well, yeah, I'm going to be here. I said, okay. I said, because, you're telling me your expectation to win and the level you want to win at, that's good. That's because that means you'll invest in it. I don't want to be somewhere where somebody has that type of expectation to win, because that's our expectation to win at that same type of level. So, I think everything was just a perfect fit for us to be here, right man, right time. And that's what, the good Lord, that's the way he lays things out. Some things happen in life, right? We don't understand it. And then all of a sudden you see his big picture of what it is, and you continue to entrust in him and what his plan may be, and then it lays out better than you could ever dream of.
One of the big topics of conversation, I'm going to kind of throw you a curveball right now, but one of the big topics of conversation currently in the world of sports is all the jockeying going on at the Power Fives. You got talks of Stanford and Cal going to the ACC and stuff. Would this benefit you to be in another conference? I know the AAC is a great baseball conference and got some great competition, but would that help you, or are you satisfied with where you're at? How do you look at that?
I don't think anybody's ever satisfied where they are, right? They always want to maximize whatever potential is in the program or at their institution. I would also be ignorant to tell you, hey, that'd be better for us if we were in the Big 12. I don't know the financial numbers. I would assume so, right, because of TV dollars. I mean, you're essentially seeing a transfer portal right now with the conferences, right? I mean, we started a transfer portal for the student athletes, but now I think you're seeing it now with the TV dollars. And it's not about being regionally located. It's not about what's best for student health, well-being. It's all about one thing. It's the dollars made on
money.
TV. That's it. It's money, and that's what's driving all this right now. And it's unfortunate. It's the root of all evil that can really tarnish something that's so precious. The amateur game of what we have at the college level. So I hope it doesn't continue to trend that way. Hopefully we can get some settlement in this and move along. But the reality of it is, you got to adjust with the times and be able to adjust where you need to be. The American Conference is a great conference, right? And then obviously either you want to build what you have, or you want to go somewhere where they continue to build in the direction you want to go in. From the sounds, what I hear, being the new guy on the block, it sounds like the American Conference being aggressive and trying to do that. I know this. I know Laird, our AD, is being extremely aggressive. I know Dr. Hargrave, our president, being extremely aggressive in trying to elevate our university to another level. And whether that's in the American Conference and add some folks that can compete at the highest level, or if that's us making a move to another conference, they can obviously financially, we can have some financial gains, from the TV money. Both of them are being very aggressive in that, and we feel pretty confident that's going to happen for us in the next 5 years.
A quick word about the show's sponsor, USA Stadium. Before we return to talk with Coach Reiser about his coaching staff, USA Stadium currently boasts 7 turf fields, and we are working diligently toward 9 turf fields. This is the place to play when the weather is uncertain, because we get our games in even when Mother Nature tries to tip her hand. Go ahead and get registered for this fall. Visit usastadiumtn.com. We look forward to seeing you.
So let's talk about your coaching staff.
Yep.
All the guys that's going to be on field are new. They've hit the ground running. I've spoke with Ford, seen Ford out here recruiting. You've been out here recruiting. Every time I turn around, you're in Atlanta, you're in Hoover, you're somewhere. You guys have not only hit the ground running for 24s, 25s, and 26s, but you had to recruit a team to fill this roster for this fall that starts here in a couple weeks. Talk about your staff. First one I want to get your feedback on is Corey Barton. Played at Memphis, has coached at Memphis, lengthy resume. You brought him back as your pitching coach, and then we'll get into Ford and him being your recruiting coordinator.
Obviously putting a staff together, you got to surround yourself with people that work extremely hard and people you can trust. I think those are the 2 main qualities you got to have. If you get in a situation where somebody's off the reservoir, right, not on the same page as you are, and what your ideology is.
Tough work environment.
It is. It's extremely tough. Look, we're going to make mistakes. As coaches, we're going to make mistakes. What makes you feel good about when you make those mistakes is that everybody's on board. Like, Coach, we got you, no problem. We all make mistakes. takes, we'll pick each other up. We're in this together, right? It's not just one man or one coach doing that. And so when you cultivate a staff, you got to do those two things. Obviously, Corey brings that to the table. I've told folks this, and I've told our players this. I said, if you don't bleed that blue and believe in the blue like I do, then you don't need to be here. And that's okay. And there's nothing personal. I don't hold anything over your head or against you. But you got to believe what this place can be the same way I do. And if you don't, then you need to hit the door.
Well, and bringing CB back,
that's it.
It's been in his blood since 2006, 2007.
That's exactly
You know,
it.
he was playing here.
That's exactly it. And so, and also the connection, the pride that Memphis has, right? And especially the baseball program. Those guys take a lot of pride in what that place means to them, and how good they know it can be as well, right? And they want to see it get back to those early '90s and then some of those teams they had then at that ultimate level, right? Had a little bit of a success there. And that 07 team makes a regional, makes a run. A couple good teams there in the early 2010s, right? The teams. I think they finished runner-up 2012, the tournament, but they want to see it back to where it's a consistent, year in, year out competitor for not only the American Conference, but also in the region, right? And be able to win a regional, be able to go to Super. So being able to bring Corey back, I think, was imperative to connect with the alumni as well. He's well connected in the recruiting world, also well connected in the alumni world. People call him the mayor, right? Just that's the way he works and the way he operates. And in all honesty, I didn't want just a pitching coach. Obviously his resume speaks for himself there. The Conference USA, assistant coach of the year, coach first rounders at Rice and that kind of stuff. So that speaks for itself. I wanted somebody that could connect recruiting wise as well. We knew getting into this, we have a huge task at hand. We have a lot to do, not only for now, but also for the classes that come and build what we want to build. I needed somebody else that would get in there and grind with us on the recruiting trail, and obviously Corey does that from that standpoint. He loves it. He's entertaining with it. We've basically got a three-headed monster right now on this recruiting trail that we've been, with the experience we have, myself, Ford, and obviously CB. All three are extremely involved in it. So one passes one call to another kid. They're hearing from not only our pitching coach, not only from our recruiting coordinator, they're hearing from a head coach, they're hearing from all entities and getting it from all worlds. So if anybody's hearing the more from us, I would be shocked.
Yeah, it spoke volumes to me. One of the first days that Ford was on the job, I get a phone call from him.
Yep.
I'm like, why are you calling me? He's like, well, I was told that if anybody knows anything about what's going on in Memphis, it was you, and I needed to connect with you. So that spoke volumes to me. Talk about Ford and what he's going to bring to the table. I know he doesn't have that long resume that Corey does,
right?
But he's a dude.
Yeah, he is a dude. You hit the nail on the head. He is a dude. Pick up the phone and call high school coaches around the state of Louisiana and see what they think of him. He's one who's worked up his way from the ranks. Taking nothing for granted, every opportunity. You continue to be grateful for and excel in that opportunity. Coaching the high school ranks there in Louisiana for many years, got his opportunity finally at Nichols, right, to get in Division I. Took that kind of back end job. Hey, was it operational, whatever it may be? We'll give you a title, but you're going to work for free, right? Just got to hustle your way through this thing.
Been there, done that.
That's it. We all have, right? The good ones have, and then all of a sudden you look up and he's a recruiting coordinator, right, at Nichols, and all of a sudden you look up this past year and Nichols wins the regular season title, and that 6-7 of the guys that started lineup are guys that he recruited, and so you can see the fingerprint of what he's able to do and what he brings to the table there. That connection he has with the high school coaches and the JC coaches, they want, hey man, on the way up on Monday, look, we had a team meeting last night. Put the list together, find the numbers, find the names, call these folks. We're going to get extended to everybody, but I want them all to feel welcome. Hey, we're not going to agree on all the players. We can't sign them all. We've had a certain time limit, and then certain guys we can and can't sign, and certain needs and fits we're going to have. But at the end of the day, we can at least have the conversation and be there to be seen.
Yeah. So he's also spent a little bit of time with you. Y'all are not new to each other. I think he was on staff a little bit at Southeastern with you, right?
He was for 2 years, and
that was before you had a third assistant or third paid assistant.
That was,
right?
yeah. I was able to get him on as our volunteer, and then last year was our recruiting coordinator as well. And so, and again, you'll see a championship ball club down there in Southeastern, right? I think they're extremely talented, and they got a really good club down there to chance to win another Southland title. So, but that was kind of my first hire, right?
Yeah.
Hey man, I need somebody that's going to be in the grind with me. It's been with me the last couple of years, knows how to operate, knows how to do things, know how to want things done, and it can go now. I mean, I can't wait 2 weeks. I mean, this is not a job. You talk about taking this over and having that conversation on June 18th. You don't have time to wait in a couple of weeks to get somebody in. Hey man, well you got to change this job. He had to go with me now, and he was able to do that. And so obviously, again, the hard work and the loyalty, he was a no-brainer, no doubt, to bring with us and get up here and get to work.
Yeah. You got another guy, a young guy, also played for you at Southeastern, Connor Manola. Talk about Connor.
Yeah, I wouldn't know if we call him young. All right, he spent 6 years with me. He is. He's just getting done with us, graduated with us, and I had some things I had to do financially to make sure those two top assistants were taken care of. I wanted continuity in those positions, and so had a great young guy that was able to come in right out of school, play for me for 6 years, got his MBA there down at Southeastern, knows exactly how I operate and exactly what I'm going to do and exactly how I'm going to go about some things. I needed somebody in the trenches again with us that knows how we operate and a little bit closer in age to those guys, right? So, I took the job at 29 years old. Yeah, I was the youngest head coach in the country. It's been a little time since that happened, so, that connection is not quite the same. I don't know the new age music or maybe the dance moves, that kind of stuff. Connor still has a move or two on him, right, that he can make that connection. So, really help bridge that player and head coach relationship a little bit. He can tell me a little bit sometimes, hey, Skip, it might be a little bit much, or tell him, hey, man, you need to do a little bit more, from the player standpoint. Know why he's doing it, know why he's operating. Look, he's treated me the same way, and here's why, because he loves you, he cares for you. All he wants you to do is have success, and this is why he's yelling and doing.
He's that bridge.
He is. And then I had a specific need. I need a catching guy. I need a guy that can come in and work with catchers. We gave 121, 122 stolen bases, something I asinine last year at the University of Memphis, and that's going to drive me up a wall. That's just something that I'm not going to be able to deal with. To give up free 90s. We look for free 90s offensively. Sure. We try to eliminate those obviously defensively. And so Connor's an extremely well-versed catcher. That was his forte for us. He was a defensive catcher. We finally got him healthy this year, be more offensive for us, but man, defense is first and foremost for him. And just the veteran, the maturity that he has reminds me a lot of myself. When people kind of looked at me like, hey man, oh yeah, okay, you're the recruiting coordinator at Southeastern. I was 26 years old. Yeah, I was a young pup, in there. But people looked at me like I was 36. Just the way I carried myself and I handled my business. Same thing for Connor, man. So I'm extremely excited to get a guy that also knows it that well, knows his material that well, and can still really connect to the players as well.
Yeah. So you said Corey Barton was the mayor of the University of Memphis in Memphis.
Yeah.
The governor of Memphis is Al Woods. Just want to let you. I don't know if you figured that out yet, but Al Woods is definitely the governor. And if you need a little hint on the genre of music, Al Woods can help you with all different levels of music. So don't let him fool you. You'll find out real quick. Al knows everybody, not only in Memphis, but in probably every airport you're going to go through this year. Everybody knows Al.
Everyone in baseball knows Al Woods. West Coast, East Coast, it doesn't matter, and it's funny you say that. So Al, we're probably 2 days into being up there, right? We leave that Monday morning. I'm there on Tuesday. And Al's there in the office, and Al said, "Hey man, am I hired? Am I still here?" I said, "Absolutely." Al said, "The only way I was taking the job if you stayed." And so, all right, well, good. Well, I want to get to work, so let's go.
He's been there for 18 years. He knows where everything's hidden. I promise you.
And that's it. And that was a key component of this, right? Coming in, I wanted people that believed in that place the same way that I did, and that I do, and obviously the same people that love the place the way I will. And Al's obviously that. Hey, I needed a veteran there too. Hey man, I need to know how some people operate, who to connect to, where to go for things. We got to have all the work apart. So I brought in a whole new staff, but I needed some retention there that knew how things were done, had seen a lot of things in his time, the good, bad, and the ugly, right? He's been all there for all those days. So Al is obviously a tremendous piece of this, right? You look at the title of Director of Operations, and there are different titles all the way throughout the entire country for Division I baseball. But like you said, he's the governor. There's more that he's bringing to the table besides just setting up, the flights and getting us, all the Nike gear ordered and making sure we're outfitted like we were supposed to, and make sure we're getting the machines ordered and all that. He's a huge part of this component of getting connected to other folks around Memphis to make sure we have a chance to get some of these kids to stay here.
Yeah. Not only is he very well organized, which you have to be to do what he does, but he's a tremendous baseball guy. If Connor ever lets you down and you need a second opinion after Connor, I promise you, Al Woods can help you out on the baseball side.
And even if Connor doesn't let us down, Al's still going to let you know that second opinion too.
By God, I bet he will.
Now that Johnny and Coach Reiser have had a good laugh, the subject we've all been waiting to hear about, the roster. Coach Reiser had his work cut out for him when he arrived recruiting for the upcoming years, but he also had to think about the season before him. He and Johnny start dropping names from the transfer portal as soon as we return, so don't miss it.
All right, so you had your team meeting when you were announcing, that you were the new head coach and everything, but you probably haven't had your official first team meeting because you've recruited a lot of players, and so you're probably still trying to figure some of these out. But talk about your roster of what you had,
Yeah.
the returning players, and what you possibly may know about those guys.
Yeah, obviously when all this went down, I said, I told Dwyer, Brennan Dwyer, our sports supervisor, I said, hey man, I got to get all the information as quickly as possible. I mean, obviously we're in the middle of June, on the end of June now. We got to make some moves and do some things quickly. So
And make matters worse, good for these kids, but you lost 2 Daltons in the draft.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's 2 guys.
That's it, and well aware that was probably going to happen, right? Obviously, Fowler, you knew he was going to graduate, but Kendrick, you knew you were probably going to lose the draft just the year he had, and also we got to see him firsthand in a high quality arm. So knew that was probable. That was highly unlikely we'd get either one of those back, and obviously then had to assess everything, right? Had to make phone calls, say, hey guys, here's who I am, here's what I am, make the moves as quickly as possible, so we could actually look down on paper and say, okay, who's still in, who's out, what do we got to go get, what's the fits, what's the need. And I told all these kids, and the same thing I'll tell all our recruits coming in, hey man, it's about finding the right fit. Again, not the perfect university, not the perfect coach, not the perfect player, but the perfect fit makes everybody maximize what they've got. And so I want to make sure that these guys were in positions they want to be in, and because that's what we're going to go do. And if we got to go sign a whole new team out of the transfer portal, we will. We were fortunate enough to keep guys like Bam, right? To keep Austin Baskins, his 9 home runs from last year and over 300 batting average. We were extremely fortunate to be able to keep some guys that had some experience, right?
You got some guys on the mound that had some experience too.
To get Curtis back in the infield, those kind of big guys. But like you said, and all of a sudden you look up and the mound's got a good core, and it's got a really good core. Yes, you lost Fowler. Obviously, yes, you lost Kendrick, but of the other 10 guys that threw majority of the time of the 12, they're back. And they're ready to rock and roll and go do their thing. So felt like also our need was going to be offensively first. We did a really good job of identifying that in the transfer portal. A lot of people ask, hey man, what's your opinion on the transfer portal? I said, I'll let you know in a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, or indifferent. But at the end of the day, man, we found some guys. We were fortunate to be able to get some really good players come in these grad transfers and these upperclassmen. We were able to obviously get a few more pieces there on the mound as well to help complement that. You never have enough pitching, right? You never feel confident enough, but hey man, if we got to beat a few folks midweek 16-12, I think we got the capability to do that offensively. And we got a familiar face coming back. Jacob Compton's coming back. I think that's the one name we're going to see back there, and be extremely proud to see that he's left South Carolina and has come back to Memphis as well.
Yeah, a couple other Memphis guys that have coming back from other places. Maurice Hampton.
Yep.
If he can get back to 100% health,
yeah.
I think the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah.
And Riley Davis played at Collierville High School, also played at Etowampa Community College, and coming back from Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know you're probably familiar with him. I probably had to play against him last year.
Absolutely. So here's the good story with Riley, right? Riley was actually the first one we signed getting back. Riley and I had talked a little bit. He's already in transfer portal. We had talked a little bit a couple weeks before this all finally went down, and it was finalized. And in those conversations, we had talked about a few different things about him coming home and that kind of stuff. And we were fortunate enough to get him back. I mean, the offense he brings to the table there behind the dish, with Sutton and Dubose, there's some defense back there, but we want to get a little more offensive, and Riley brings that. And it's dynamic enough to be able to play some first. Hey, so I'm playing second base at Etowampa, right? Mm-hmm. So there's other multiple positions that, that back, you can figure out where to get in the lineup. Also to bring him back, I looked up in the press conference. We had not committed Riley yet, hadn't had an opportunity to have that conversation yet, but able to look at him in the press conference and see him out in the press conference, him and his family. And we recruited Riley out of Etowampa down to Southeastern as well, and tried to actually extremely hard. So I said, hey man, you made a mistake once, told me no, don't make it again. I said, Coach, I'm coming home. I said, so that worked out really, really well for us, and we've had a lot of success there on the local guys.
Well, I know him and his family. I was able to coach him a couple years ago, and in a collegiate summer league here locally, and got to know him, and the mentality that you're speaking of, that's Riley Davis. I promise you, you're and to have that guy behind the plate or wherever he's at on the field, he's going to be a leader for you.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's what we're going to build this program off of. Guys with that type of mentality. Look, at the end of the day, talent at all-time high at every level of college baseball, right?
Really
the COVID's backed things up. We're finally getting almost this. I think it's finally the last year of anybody you're here going to have COVID, a year back. But obviously the draft's backed up. And with the draft backing up, I mean, players are going where? They're going to college. So at every level, from Division I all the way down to D3, NAIA, JC level, the reality of this, it's more talented than it's ever been. And probably will be for about the next 5 years, and to be all honest, until things kind of level out. So what's the intangibles? What's going to make you a little bit better? Or maybe that guy's maybe just a tick more talented. I still expect us to win. I don't expect to go in there on Tuesday night at Mississippi State and lose. I expect to go beat those guys, right? Oh, well, Coach, you don't understand their SEC. No, I do understand. I know exactly where they're at. I know where we're going too. So, what's the intangible? It's that makeup. It's that mentality. It's that blue collar we talk about. That little bit of grit and grind, right? That Memphis kind of spoke to my heart on.
Right.
Hey, man, this is exactly why we wanted to be here, and we're the right guys to be here.
Yeah, so you said when you took the job, you focused primarily on the offensive side of it.
Yep.
But when the dust settles and you're able to get your team from scratch,
Yep.
from day one, what type of players, what type of game are you going to try to play?
You're going to see competitive, right? And I think Kevin O'Sullivan said it well in one year. Hey man, you're going to go match up guys that fit what you are, who you are, right? That's that aggressive mindset and mentality, young men. Guys who love to compete, right? And they come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are going to be 6'6" and 240 in the box and go, holy smokes, got to get the ball a long way. Some might be 5'6", right? And run a 6'2", 60,
That's
right?
the great thing about baseball.
That's it. That's the beauty of it, right? And they can have success at all levels from that standpoint. But you got to get the mindset first. And then also you can adapt to whatever you need to. Hey, man, a year you need to run a little bit more. Maybe you can run a little bit more. Hey, man, maybe a year you can sit back and swing the bat a little bit more, swing back and hit the homers a little bit more. But it'll be the same type of competitive level kids that you'll see year in, year out, the same type of aggressiveness that you'll see year in, year out. Not only from the offensive side, we're going to pitch aggressively too. We're going to attack hitters. We're not going to sit there and wait for walks and try to work our way out of the situations. We're going to attack hitters with the good old heater, right? We're not going to try to trick guys and that kind of stuff. It's going to be plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's going to be challenge, mano-a-mano type mentality. We're going to play defense aggressive. We're going to make some mistakes. That's going to happen. That is a guarantee in this game that there will be a mistake made.
That's why they got that third column out for runs, hits, and then errors. That means you made a mistake, right?
Mistakes, but that also gives you opportunities to make up for them, right? And we feel like if our guys are that aggressive mindset and mentality, that when they make a mistake, they know it's okay, because guess what? The amount of times they're going to have success over having failure is going to work in our favor every day of the week. So that'll be our mindset, our mentality. What's that look like from a playing style? That's what you'll see. You'll just see competitive edge out there each and every year.
You just adapt to what you got.
That's exactly it.
You spoke on it just a minute ago that you'd let us know in a month what you thought about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
You've had 6 or 7 weeks now.
That's right.
So obviously looking at your roster, it's up to date on your website. A lot of transfer guys in there. I'm going to say it's benefited you, but what, just your overall opinion of the transfer portal and how the game's marketed and played these days? Are you a big fan of it?
Yeah, so let's touch on the first component of it. For the now, right? We did lose some guys at transfer portal. Obviously, in any coaching change, I think you're going to lose a couple guys here and there. And I'll be honest with you too, I think we upgraded with the guys we did get out of the transfer portal. So +1 on the transfer portal for now for us, right? What we've done, we found a niche and we found a way to be a little creative in some of the financial stuff that we can do to offer some kids that are a little bit upperclassmen, the grad transfers coming in. This makes it very lucrative for them. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not here to sit here, I said it in the press conference, I'll say it again, I'm not here to sit here and lose and build 3 or 4 years and that it's before we win at the level we want to win at. I want to win now. And the only way to do that is to get some guys with some experience that have had shown most success. And a guy like from NC State, the Will Marcy kid, 2 years, had started 80 games at NC State, great player, put up good numbers. His profile just wanted to change. He wanted to be able to run a little bit more. Hey, man, well, guess what? We like to run too. Yeah. So you can bang it, hit your doubles and your homers, but also when they walk, you steal second and do that part of it. So I think for now, I think this is a +1 that we had the transfer portal in our place. Even though we lost some players, I think we still upgraded some other places.
10 years ago, this would have been a little bit tougher to put a roster together.
Absolutely. Well, and then maybe these guys are staying, right? But this is the part and the point that I want to make in it is that, a guy like Bam Baskins, right? This is his 3rd coach in 3 years. Hey, look, I'm not in here to come change the world, right? I want us to come in and I want us to win. And I don't want to come in your last year and say, hey, man, well, this is just a rebuild. We're working on this. We're going to get some players in. We'll get my guys in, right? Coach like say, well, I'm going to get my guys in. Hey, man, we're going to win what we got. And that's the reality of it. We can put a couple pieces together to help that, right? And then help that momentum. But that's not fair to his career. I'll coach till I'm 85, right? I'll be Wayne Graham. He'll be kicking me off the mound, tell me to get off and hurry up. Baskins gets one career. This is his last year to be able to play baseball, college baseball, and I want to go out with a dog pile and a ring on his finger. So we're going to do everything in our power to obviously make that happen now. And so the transfer portal for now, +1 force. Overall, grand scheme of things, there's got to be some more limitations to it, and I get both aspects of it. I get the student athlete having the ability to be able to get himself in a better situation. Right now, we do have name, image, likeness. Hey, coach, who am I to tell a kid, hey man, step away from $100,000. So and so's calling you with $100,000 name, image, likeness money.
But sometimes where you hear how that was done, behind the scenes, that's the thing. That's
right?
unfortunate.
The integrity part of it, right? There's going to be some third parties involved, and that's what it's creating. It's creating more people who I don't think truly care about the kid. I think they're, and I say that in this sense, is that they look at the immediate, is that they think they care for the kid and what he immediate success with. What's that going to do long term for him? That's great. He got $100,000 for next year. What's that do for him for the rest of his life? If that's what he's seeing, that's what he's always chasing, is just that almighty dollar. Look, I didn't chase the almighty dollar. I had a chance to take a job making $100,000 out of school and go chase my BME degree and do that route. I took a job making $10,000 to be a baseball coach.
And go where you're happy.
That's it. You got to do what you love, right? And at some point in time, you got to make enough money to put food on the table. But hey, man, it gave me the opportunity and that perception to go chase the things that I wanted to, the things that I dreamed of, to be happy in life. And so, what are we truly teaching those kids, in some of these moments? So, grand scheme of things, I think there's some good components of it for sure. A new coach comes in, hey man, this is the style and what I want, boom, boom, yeah, hey man, I don't know, I'm going to do something different that puts me in a position to be successful. Fine, no problem. This behind the doors, these phone calls that are going on, these third parties that are getting involved, that really, hey man, no offense, but you're an insurance agent, right? This is my livelihood that you're messing with. Stay the heck out of it, right? You just want to be a part of it and have your name attached to somebody who might make it to the big leagues one day, and you did nothing for them. Let's be honest, okay? Right. And I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, there's no kid who's made it to the big leagues that we've ever coached. It was because of me. I can promise you that. Or any other coach that they had. They made the big leagues because of themselves. They made a decision simply to put the work in, put the time in, put the effort in, to compete at the level, to handle the adversity the way they did. That made them a big leaguer. That made them the opportunity to play professional baseball or maximize what their baseball career was. So, there's some things we still need to clean up. How do we clean up in the next 5 years? I hope it happens sooner than later to help kind of get away from some of these things. But again, we could sit here and talk probably a whole nother episode about name, image, likeness, and what we could do with it.
Right, and I'm going to ask you one more question for probably a short answer, maybe not, about the transfer portal. You probably know these numbers a lot better than I do. Yeah. But of the numbers of kids that go into the portal, they don't always find a home. So they think they're upgrading when they're really cutting their own throat. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, the grass ain't always green on the other side. We know that, right? And there's some more life lessons to be learned there when you kind of stay there in a situation that you still have some opportunity. Might not be what you think may be your best opportunity to play, but hey man, it's a great opportunity still to have a lot of success at the place you want to be at. I don't know the numbers because I don't have enough time to tell you. To be honest with you,
but I know they're out there.
That's how many kids are in the portal, and that's to my point. Is that's how many kids are in the portal that I couldn't tell you the numbers of percentage of kids who don't go somewhere or end up on the roadside, and done with baseball. And I'll be honest with you, the way we've kind of paid these players and what we're doing now, it is having to make it more business-like. It is having to make it more like a professional. Where this is still an amateur game. The innocence of the game, you want to keep as much and as pure as possible. I think we've really blurred that line with the name, image, likeness.
Yeah, and I will wait one more comment.
Yep.
Baseball is on the down end of this. Think about it, the basketballs and the footballs of the world, and how that's just gone bonkers.
So let me tell you, I don't envy Silverfield or Penny, neither one of them. What they're having to deal with, again, the amount of people that are trying to connect themselves to some of these student athletes. And at that time, those kids feel like, hey man, this guy's been here, this guy's been there, he's represented that guy, this is probably the guy I need to listen to. You're just listening to somebody else's success, not his. That guy didn't get him there. Look, give your piece of advice, that's fine, but when you start getting your hands in the cookie jar and trying to get you a piece of the pie, that's the part that I have real issue with. So again, I don't envy Silverfield or Penny in this situation. Like you said, we're only just scratching the surface of this. That was part of the conversation in the interview process. Hey, where you want to go with name, image, likeness? Look, hey man, I'm not in a position to go spend $100,000 on a player.
Right.
And everyone's trying to accuse LSU. Hey man, well they just went and bought a team. Did they really? The Dugases, the Joe Bears, the Malazzos, the Dylan Cruz, they were already there. That's it. Did they go buy a player or two to make sure that they went from 1 to 4 or 4 to 1? Yeah, maybe. But
you kind of had to have something that those kids were attracted to
that's
too.
It. That's it.
And they were playing for a national brand.
That's it.
That's a little understandable.
And that's it. And so at the end of the day, a guy like Beloso comes back in 5th year to do one thing: what? Not make money. He wants to win a national championship. So look, at the end of the day, man, there's a lot of components that are involved with this name, image, likeness. There's a lot of right ways to do it. There's a lot of wrong ways to do it. There's a lot of things that we still are unknown, to be honest with you, with this day and age. But there is still, I think, a lot of growth on both ends. From my perspective, right, as a coach, I got to learn some more things about it. I would like to get involved in that space more in baseball. And it is. I mean, it's just reality. There's more programs spending more money this summer than they did last summer, right?
Yeah,
so we need to get on that in that area too. We need to get in that space as well. My idea is more of a collective for all, right? You make the 40-man roster. Hey, man, here's your paycheck when you make the 40-man roster in February. It'd be nice to get a little payday in February to say, okay, well, only thing I have to worry about all spring is just baseball. Yeah, man, here's a $5,000 check for you. You don't have to worry about trying to go get that bar back job or to beat the RA or whatever it may be to make the extra money to pay the bills. You can focus on baseball for the springtime. So I think that's where we can get to, here the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. To finish this interview up, as a program, how can alumni or just people in the community, supporters of the program, how can they help University of Memphis baseball program?
We got to get people involved. A lot of people, I think, have a lot of pride in the program, but we need them involved consistently. Some have jumped in financially and shown greatness to be, and it's a one-time deal. It's like, hey man, here it is, and then we don't see them at the ballpark. That's great you gave. We appreciate you giving. We need people to give, right, to help continue to build what they've started, right, and get those in the right direction. But we want you there. We want you there for the games. And look, everybody told me in Memphis, like, well, you don't understand Memphis people. If you're not winning, they're not showing up. I can tell you, I'm coming from South Louisiana. I'm very well aware of the pressure to win down in South Louisiana. I don't know if anybody expects more than those South Louisiana fans. So at the end of the day, that's not what it's about. That's the byproduct of what you do in the whole time and the energy you put into this, right? What these alumni, what these fans can do is show up. Show up to the games, buy season tickets. Those the people are going to call me crazy. You better get your chair back seats now, because here in 3 or 4 years, you're going to be on the waiting list trying to get those chair backs and be like, well, what can I get? I'll show. This is not the program it was 5 years ago. You better get out there. You better come see it. It's a good product. It's going to be a product that you're proud of. It's a product that's going to compete yearly consistently. And I think that's the thing. The model we've done things, the way that we did things in Hammond, it was a consistent model. Nothing against any program that did it, but it wasn't winning 50 games one year and then winning 20 for the next 6, right? It was consistently winning, consistently competing for championships year in and year out, and that's what we're going to build here as well. So might as well get on the bandwagon while it's still light, but we want to get those guys in there full all access. And look, everybody has different means of way to help. Some people think, well, I don't have the money to financially help. It doesn't matter. We need your time, okay? We need your efforts. We need to show up from the ballpark. We've got things we've got to do on our end too. We've got to not only get people in the ballpark, we got to keep them there, right? Not to show up for 1 or 2 games a year. I need to show them up for 10 games a year. But we got to give them a reason when they do come to stay, right? Oh, well, what's going on Friday night? Oh, Memphis baseball's playing Friday night. Who are they playing? I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's an event. You get there with a marketing team, you get down there with a cooking club, you get down there with a playground for the kids to go, let them go kind of do their deal. Hey man, we got family atmosphere where people get to enjoy it and have a good time.
I'm sold. I'm sold, Coach. I know I took a lot more of your time than I expected, and probably you expected too. This has been great. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. A pleasure finding out not only about you personally, about what your expectations are for the program, and I'm sold. I'm in. I'm ready to go. If I had any eligibility, I'd see if you'd let me try out.
Well, I tell you what, if we get to the injuries, I might be calling you. That's the way it always works. But we're excited, man. This is the place we truly believe in. Like I said, this is the place where we want to call home. My family, my kids, my wife Jeanette. Again, this is something we see as long term. And I told folks this: look, this isn't a 1-year deal. It's going to come win a championship this year and find the next job and move on. That's just not the way I've been wired in my time. Yeah. I'm extremely loyal to the process. I'm extremely loyal to where I'm at, where my feet are. I don't want to win 1. I want to win 3. I want to win 4. I want to win 5. Like I told Al Woods the other day, I said the one thing Al I've got to do is get you to Omaha before it's all said and done. He's put more time and invests more time, probably as much or more than anybody else around that program. We got to get Al Woods to Omaha, so that's not going to be done lightly. It's not going to be. It's a word that sometimes can be thrown around lightly, like Omaha, and like no, this is a word that has a lot of gravity to it. But it's a byproduct of what we're going to build before that.
Well, And to finalize this whole interview, you've seen it with other mid-major schools, the Coastal Carolinas, the East Carolinas, some of those non-Power 5 schools, they have a chance. And I can tell just by talking to you, you've got that mentality, and you're gonna be knocking on their door soon.
Well, you're right there, right on it. Coach Jones said it. He said, "Boy, I got the Tulane job when I was 39 years old." A lot of people had a lot of the same conversations in Memphis in a very similar spot right now that Tulane was in when I got there, believing it the same way I did. He said, "Coach, I learned from the best. You know, I learned from you." So also we got a lot of huge aspirations for the program. But you know, the thing is, you got to dream it. You got to visualize it before it can actually happen. So I know what's going to happen. I know where it's going to go. I know what it's going to do because we'll take confidence in the work that we put into it. So.
Well, there's a thing that I think you're probably familiar with called Cajun magic, and you've also got Al Woods, who's got a rabbit's foot in his pocket. So if you combine those two, there's no telling what the sky is going to be the limit.
We might get back to 94 real quick.
So, Coach, I appreciate you being here,
Yeah,
and
John,
best of luck to you, and always let us know if we can help you out.
Appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.